Yes, you did, Jacob. And more of that if you got Palm Sunday, if you're on the podcast, and we'll be able to get Palm Sunday probably up there.
One Messiah, two comings. Also, one Messiah, two comings.
One Messiah, two comings. Yes, very good stuff. So if you like what Jacob said in the few minutes that he shared, there's more of that. He expands on it and he goes into details on those particular studies. So get a hold of that. And we welcome those who are watching on different platforms. Thank you for watching us on Memorial.tv, on Vimeo. Of course, we're and also on Rumble, whichever grows. And we appreciate you coming on Telegram. Of course, we're watching in different platforms, and we appreciate you watching. Go to Memorial.tv, ever growing, ever expanding. Rumble's pretty good, and we'll be taking questions there on Rumble at the end. So please get a hold of that. So if you're not on Rumble yet, this is where you can ask questions. And I think some of the questions are coming in that we'll be able to answer throughout the study, but we're going to have specific questions for Jacob at the end. Of course, we're going to go to Backstage, and we got some great stuff on Backstage, including what the government's doing to spy on, ultimately, will be believers. Jacob, let's cut right through it, and let's deal with this horrific event and it's unspeakable horror. Let's cut to the reality of it. A woman walks into a Christian school and kills 3 children and 3 adults. The fact that she was transitioning becomes what the media wants to portray as the issue. But she was transitioning into a man. But the reality of it is she killed 3 children at a Christian school. She killed 3 adults at a Christian school. It's a horrific event. One of the daughters, of course, the little girl, was a pastor's daughter, which always hits me in a personal way. Police went in there, and within 6 minutes, they killed the shooter and were able to neutralize her. And of course, she was shot dead. A horrific event on Monday. Many things have happened. Jacob Prash, all the way from the UK, give us your perspective on what happened, the tragedy, the difficulty, and how the media is playing this to blame Christians. Is this really what's going on?
It's media and it's social media. Therefore, we urge our viewers to please watch us on Moriel.tv or to watch us on Rumble. Don't watch us on YouTube. They may shut us down at any moment for any reason. Right now, go to Moriel.tv or go to Rumble. Don't watch us on this YouTube. Now, is that what's happening? That's exactly what happened. Now, I congratulate those policemen who shot this lesbian child murderess within 6 minutes. They saved the lives of other children and of other faculty, undoubtedly. I applaud their action. That woman is in hell, almost certainly. Ultimately, God only knows, but she's almost certainly in hell forever in the lake of fire. The children are in the arms of Jesus. But that does not mean all well that ends well. It never should have happened. Now, if this had been in Israel, the police wouldn't have needed 6 minutes to neutralize the murderer. If somebody walked into a school in Israel brandishing an AK-47, they would have been shot dead in 6 seconds. All teachers are firearm trained. They've all been in the military. They protect their children with firearms. These people trying to exploit it for gun control reasons, as if terrorists and radicals and criminals are not going to be able to get guns if they take them out of the hands of honest citizens, depriving honest citizens of the right to defend themselves. This is the message of this she's a disgusting person, Whoopi Goldberg. Among others, they're trying to make it about gun control.
Yeah.
You are never going to stop criminals from having guns. You go to Northern Ireland, where there's the strictest gun control in the world, and the terrorists always had guns. The Protestant paramilitaries, the UVF, UDA always had guns. The Provisional IRA always had guns. The Irish National Liberation Army, the socialist, radical Irish nationalists had guns. They always had guns. You're never going to keep guns out of the hands of terrorists. That includes transgender terrorists, and transgender terror is growing. A disproportionately large number of these murders of this sort have been perpetrated by people who are sexually deviant. They're not telling you that in the mainstream media. The mainstream media is interested in two things. One is exploiting it in their war against the Second Amendment to protect people from defending themselves. They want to defund the police on one hand, but they want to make sure you can't defend yourself either. Of course, they're well defended. They have their own bodyguards. Hillary Clinton has the Secret Service. Then the other is, it is a war against Christians.
Mm.
And the mainstream media is on the side of the murderers.
Mm.
I watched the CBS reporter essentially attribute what happened to legislation that was signed into law a week earlier in Tennessee, saying that children could not be exposed to transvestite or transgender entertainment by drag queens.
Yeah.
And laws that prevent the surgical mutilation of children to resemble the opposite sex. This is called a hate crime, protecting children and safeguarding the moral and sexual and faith-based values of their parents is now called hate crime. And that's what provoked this lesbian murderer to do what she did.
That's how it was played. That's what it
how
was
it's
played like.
And it's not just CBS. It's Newsweek. It's much of social media. It's the other networks as well. This is
New
how
York Times.
perverted.
Yeah, Newsweek. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, this is what we said 20 years ago was going to take place. I would just like to read, please, from the book of Genesis, very, very briefly, chapter 19, verse 9. But they, that is the radical homosexuals, said, stand aside. Furthermore, they said, this one, meaning Lot, came in as an alien, and already he's acting like a judge. Now we will treat you worse than them. That is the angels they wanted to gang rape. So they pressed hard against Lot and came near to break the door. We will kill you. Who made you our judge? Now notice, Lot was quite happy to let them be homosexuals. But they demanded the right to come into his house and do something that he considered to be immoral and perverted. These animals, these children of Satan, are demanding the right to come into people's families and do things to their children, indoctrinate them in schools, and then bring them to refuge states where the children underage will have the right, quote unquote, to have themselves surgically mutilated and be protected by law. And if you don't agree with it, you're guilty of a hate crime. Well, this is exactly what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. But something else happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. The judgment of God. And the judgment of God is going to come again. And the fact that they don't believe it, they're being set up for the judgment. They're not supposed to believe it. I'd like to read from Romans chapter 1. Verse 24, God gave them over to these perverted lusts. Verse 26, for this reason, God gave them over to degrading passions, for their women exchanged the natural function for that which is unnatural. And in the same way, the men abandoned their natural function of the woman and burned in desire for one another. God gave them over. Verse 28, and just as they did not see fit to acknowledge God any longer, God gave them over to a depraved mind to do things of this nature. Now they want to call this hate literature. They want to call this hate literature. The Christians, it's the word of God.